Here is the truth. No one selling you motivation will admit, the more you need it, the less dangerous you are. In ancient Japan, warriors did not wait to feel ready. They prepared to act without feeling anything at all, and that difference decided who endured and who disappeared. He is ambitious. That is what makes this painful. Ambition means he can see the distance. It means he knows what he could be. It means the gap between intention and action never fully leaves his sight. He watches the videos, reads the books, nods along as if the truth is finally landing. There is a surge, brief, electric. For a moment, the future feels close enough to touch. He imagines the disciplined version of himself moving cleanly through the day. Focused, unhesitating. Tomorrow he will begin. Tomorrow arrives quietly. No music, no fire, no cinematic rise. Just light through the window and the weight of another ordinary morning. The surge is gone. The body feels heavier than it did the night before. The mind begins scanning for justification, not excuses, reasons. He negotiates, he delays, he tells himself he'll start once he's back in the zone. As if alignment were a place you visit instead of a posture you hold, weeks pass, not in collapse. In drift, he is not lazy. Lazy men do not care this much. They do not rehearse their future in private. He is motivated, just inconsistently. Motivation arrives in bursts, leaves without notice, and takes nothing with it when it goes. The modern world praises this man, calls him driven, potential, filled, encourages him to find the right system, the right trigger, the right mood. Ancient Japan would not. Bushido saw motivation as unreliable weather, something you prepare against. Not wait for rain does not cancel duty. Heat does not excuse delay. Zen saw motivation as emotional noise, a disturbance in the mind, loud, convincing, and ultimately empty. Neither trusted it with anything that mattered. They understood something the modern man avoids. Anything that depends on feeling will eventually fail when feeling changes. Ambition without structure becomes torment. Vision without ritual becomes frustration. This is the awakening, not realizing you want more, but realizing desire alone has never been enough. Until he sees this clearly, he will continue mistaking energy for readiness and emotion for commitment. And every time motivation fades, he will quietly return to the same place, wondering why the man he sees so clearly never seems to arrive. The Last Ronin did not despise motivation because he lacked ambition. He despised it because he understood its nature. Motivation is loyal only to comfort. It arrives when conditions are clean, when sleep was enough, when the body feels light, when resistance has not yet spoken. And it vanishes the moment pressure appears. At the first sign of friction, it retreats. At the first inconvenience, it negotiates. At the first hint of sacrifice, it reframes. Samurai culture was not built for optimal conditions. It was built for battle, for famine, for exhaustion that hollowed the face, for loss that never explained itself. In such a world, feeling good was irrelevant. Waiting to feel ready was lethal. Any system that relied on emotion would collapse instantly. So they did not ask how they felt. They built structure that did not care about mood, structure that did not listen to preference, structure that remained standing when the man inside it wanted to fold. Ritual over emotion, because emotion fluctuates, code over mood, because mood lies, form over desire, because desire changes allegiance under pressure. Zen stripped away the need to feel ready. It removed the illusion that action required internal permission. Stillness taught the body to move without commentary, without narrative, without self-persuasion. Bushido replaced choice with obligation. Not cruelty, clarity. When obligation exists, hesitation has nowhere to stand. When duty is fixed, fear arrives too late to bargain together. They shattered the modern fantasy that success is powered by inspiration. Inspiration is bright, short, lived and unreliable. It burns hot and leaves ash. The Ronin did not build his life on sparks. He built it on obedience. Obedience to form, obedience to ritual, obedience to decisions made before emotion arrived to interfere. For him, inspiration was irrelevant. It could come or go without consequence. Only obedience endured. And because obedience did not fluctuate, neither did his direction. This is the system modern men resist most, because it removes excuses, because it removes negotiation, because it removes the comforting lie that tomorrow will feel easier. It will not. And the Ronin did not need it to. Your nervous system prefers motivation because motivation feels rewarding. It offers sensation without cost, power without consequence. Dopamine spikes before the work begins. The body warms, the chest lifts, identity inflates. You feel capable, aligned, almost transformed, all without having acted. This is the trap psychology, confirms it without poetry. Anticipation activates the brain more than execution. The promise of effort excites more than effort itself. The mind mistakes this signal for progress. It confuses readiness with movement, emotion with commitment. Zen saw this clearly. It named it illusion. The mind manufactures feeling to avoid emptiness, to avoid stillness, to avoid the quiet moment where action must actually occur. Bushido was harsher. It called this self-deception, because a man who feeds on anticipation starves action. He rehearses becoming strong instead of becoming reliable. The internal war is not between discipline and laziness. That framing is too gentle. It is between structure and emotion. Between what endures and what feels good briefly. Emotion surges, structure holds. Emotion negotiates, structure commands. Every time you wait to feel motivated, you train the mind to disobey command. You teach it that action requires permission. That mood outranks obligation. That feeling precedes movement. The nervous system learns quickly. It delays on purpose. It withholds energy until emotion sweetens the request. Soon, action feels heavy because it has been demoted. You teach yourself that action is optional. Optional men are inconsistent. Inconsistency erodes trust. Trust is the foundation of authority, both external and internal. Ancient warriors understood this without debate. A man who must feel ready cannot be relied upon under pressure. A man who negotiates daily cannot be feared. Fear is not about violence. It is about predictability. The Ronin was feared because when he decided, there was no delay, no mood to consult, no anticipation to savor, no inner vote to count. Structure moved him even when emotion resisted. This is the war most men lose quietly. They feel powerful often, they act rarely. And over time, the mind learns a final lesson. Feeling is enough. Action is optional. That lesson destroys more potential than failure ever could. Until it is unlearned, no amount of motivation will ever save him. The Ronin chose a harsher path not because he enjoyed severity, but because he understood softness breeds argument. He removed motivation from the equation entirely. Motivation was treated as weather. Unreliable, unworthy of command decisions were made in advance. When the mind was calm, when desire was quiet, when fear had not yet found language. Days were shaped before emotion intervened. Morning arrived already decided. The sequence already set, no room left for hesitation to negotiate its way in. Action followed form, not feeling. Feeling was allowed to exist. It was never allowed to lead. The body moved first, the mind adjusted later, or it was left behind. The modern mind resists this violently. It wants flexibility, which often means escape. It wants autonomy, which often means permission to abandon effort. It wants the right to change its mind, especially when discomfort arrives disguised as reason. It calls this freedom. Bushido understood something brutal and true. Freedom comes after obedience, not before it. Before obedience, freedom is fantasy. It is choice without consequence, movement without direction. Obedience builds alignment. Alignment builds reliability. Reliability builds authority. Only then does freedom appear, not as endless choice, but as the absence of internal conflict. When action becomes inevitable, resistance collapses. Not because it is defeated, but because it is irrelevant. There is nothing left to argue with, nothing left to persuade, nothing left to delay. Motivation is fragile. It shatters under fatigue. It disappears under pressure. Structure is permanent. It stands when emotion collapses. It carries the man when desire abandons him. This is why the Ronin endured. Not because he was stronger, because he was already decided. The man who decides once moves through hardship cleanly. The man who decides daily bleeds strength at every turn. Until this is understood, the modern man will keep chasing feeling and mistaking intensity for progress. And each time motivation fades, he will call it failure. When in truth, he simply never chose structure in the first place. Water that stops flowing stagnates. It clouds. It rots. It forgets its direction. Steel removed from the forge softens. Edges round, purpose dulls. Fire that flickers dies. Not from lack of fuel, but from interruption. Consistency without gaps was sacred, not as obsession. As survival, the Ronin did not train harder when motivated. Motivation was Noi's temporary heat. He trained the same when empty, when the body felt slow, when the mind offered nothing in return. The form did not change, the time did not change, the demand did not change. That sameness was the discipline. Neuroscience confirms what the blade already knew. Habitual action bypasses the emotional centers of the brain. It routes behavior around mood, around hesitation. Consistency reduces cognitive friction, less debate, less self-persuasion, less wasted force. Gaps reintroduce the ego, and the ego always negotiates. It asks why today should be different. It reminds you of effort already spent. It suggests that rest has been earned. The first gap rarely looks like failure. It looks like reason. But when gaps disappear, identity hardens, not cruelly. Cleanly, the man who practices without gaps does not feel disciplined. He feels aligned. The man who allows gaps must restart himself constantly. He never arrives. This is why weak men chase motivation. They need the surge to overcome inconsistency. And disciplined men design inevitability. They remove the need for feeling. They make action the default. The Ronin did not rely on strength. He relied on continuity, because continuity turns effort into nature. And nature does not argue. Once identity hardens, action follows without friction at that point. Discipline is no longer impressive. It is simply present. Like a river that no longer needs to be pushed, only allowed to keep flowing. Samurai never asked how they would feel in battle. Feeling was unreliable, too slow, too easily corrupted by fear. They decided how they would move. Decision came before emotion had a voice, before fatigue softened resolve, before survival instinct began rewriting priorities, armor prepared before dawn, hands moving through the same sequence each morning, laces tightened without thought, steel checked without ceremony. Not to feel ready, to remove uncertainty, paths memorized before chaos. So smoke would not confuse direction, so noise would not fracture attention, so the body could move when the mind went quiet. Oaths sworn before temptation, not whispered, carved into identity. Because temptation always arrives pretending to be reasonable. The last Ronin carried this inward. He pre-decided everything essential, not every detail. Only what mattered when strength would fail. When tired, he acted. Action came first, fatigue second. Movement often dissolved the heaviness that thinking magnified. When uninspired, he followed form. Form required no enthusiasm, only presence. When afraid, he relied on ritual. Fear has no power over repetition. It cannot interrupt what has already begun. Ritual held him when emotion could not. Modern life demands the same clarity. The battlefield is quieter. The stakes feel smaller, but the erosion is constant. Decide now what happens when motivation dies, because it will. Design systems that do not care how you feel. Systems that work when energy is low, when mood is hostile, when excuses sound convincing. Remove choice where weakness enters, not everywhere. Only at the points you have already failed. Choice is not freedom in those moments. It is exposure. This is not cruelty. Cruelty abandons the future self to the mercy of mood. This is mercy. For the version of you who will wake tired, who will feel doubt tightening its grip, who will want relief instead of direction. You build the path now so he does not have to decide later. The man who pre-decides moves through weakness without negotiating with it. The man who waits to decide in the moment is already compromised. The Ronin understood this without bitterness. He did not trust how he would feel tomorrow. He trusted what he built today, and that trust was enough to carry him through every moment he would have otherwise lost. Eventually, something unsettling happens. Not a breakthrough, not a revelation, a disappearance. You stop needing encouragement. Praise feels unnecessary. Silence feels sufficient. You stop waiting for energy. Energy arrives after movement, now not before. You stop asking permission from your emotions. They are heard, they are not obeyed. Action becomes quiet. No surge, no resistance, reliable. The same hour, the same sequence, the same follow, through. Unremarkable. And that is what makes it dangerous, because nothing dramatic can interrupt it. There is no peak to fall from, no mood to collapse. This is the man ancient warriors trusted, the one who showed up without announcement, who moved without hesitation, who did not need to be watched. The last Ronin became this man slowly through days that looked empty from the outside. through repetition that drew no praise, through discipline that never asked to be admired, not driven by passion. Passion burns, then disappears. He was carried by structure, by decisions made once, by forms repeated until they no longer felt chosen. Zen emptied the noise. Bushido hardened the line. What remained did not fluctuate. Motivation faded as it always does. Discipline remained because discipline was no longer effort. It was identity. At this point, failure feels foreign, not forbidden, misaligned. You do not avoid weakness by force. You have simply moved beyond the man who needed it. And if this feels cold, if it feels demanding, if it feels unforgiving, good, because what stands here is not comfort. It is reliability. And reliability, once forged, does not ask whether you feel ready, it moves. Every time. If this philosophy resonates with you, subscribe for more lessons from the Last Ronin and the Path of Japan, Bushido, and Zen. Weak men wait to feel ready. Disciplined men move and let readiness catch up.